Willkommen, bienvenue to El Club de Drama. On this week's jam-packed episode, we've got Congressman Matt Gaetz, Megan Amram, Central Park Amy, Crystalia, and I've got the story of Harvey Weinstein, and Steph's got the story of Colin Kaepernick. Stay tuned.
What up, fam? It's good, y'all. Feels good, right? Good, right? Yeah, I know it do. And without further ado, we broadcasting live from CA to M.
Dude, did you get this meme I sent you while I was restarting my...
Oh, I saw it came in, but I didn't look at it. Hold on.
It's like, there's like a new 90-day thing.
Oh, yeah. I haven't started watching it either.
I guess she was like, this episode this week, she was like, I got my lips done, I got my cheeks done, I got my butt done.
Does she look good? I mean, not her face, but does her body look good?
She looks okay. Yeah. I mean, she always had a nice body.
Yeah. Who is against the queen will die. That's one of the greatest moments in reality TV history.
How does she say his name? Colty. No, but people were dragging her because she has kids in Brazil that she left behind, and they were like, Larissa, I'm coming here for my kids. Larissa, for real, I got my boobs done, my butt done, my cheeks done.
I don't think she's allowed to see her kids though.
Why?
I think she has.
Oh, because of all those charges?
Because of, I think she's bipolar.
Oh.
Or I think the language you're supposed to use is she has bipolar disorder. But I think for some reason the father doesn't want her seeing the kids. So I think she has to get her shit together before she can bring them.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. But I also want to watch, there's two simultaneous 90 days on right now. It's that one.
Yeah.
And also the other way.
Yes. And I saw that our homegirl who did the cameo for me.
Jenny.
Yeah, she's on
Jenny and Sumit, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to continue watching that shit. But a show.
So let's start with the mistake because we got to get past it.
Yeah. All right. So our friend Candace on Instagram hit us up after our episode. What was the actual episode on? I don't remember, but we talked about the Glee drama with Lea Michele.
Yeah.
And I had said that it was Amber Riley who had posted the viral tweet about Lea Michele, but it was actually Samantha Ware who was only appearing on Glee in the final season.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I mixed that up. I don't watch the show. That's not an excuse. But anyway, so two completely different Black actresses. So I want to clear that up.
It's because Amber, what's her last name?
Riley.
She's also on Glee, and she was commenting about it, and she was the one who was being like, she was like commenting like little shady little gifs, which was cute.
Oh, okay.
So she was
maybe
like,
that's why I saw her name.
She was in the mix, but yeah. But Candace sent a really great email.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. She sent a really great email about it, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that we did that. Thank you for the email, though.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, she slid into our DMs, too.
Oh, she did? Damn,
that's how I knew about it.
Yeah, I was like, damn, drag us. But don't worry. I was like, don't worry, we're going to drag ourselves. I was like, we exhibited very Lea Michele behavior by doing that.
Yeah. We're just like, this girl.
So Lea Michele can officially come shit in our wigs.
Fuck Lea Michele. I ain't scared of that bitch.
Hey, isn't she your husband's crush, though? Or wasn't she years ago?
No. I bet he doesn't even know who that is. Joel, you know who Lea Michele is? He said, who the fuck is that? He said, I only know Leah Remini. That's what's up.
What about Princess Leia?
Oh. Does she have a last name?
Her last name is Leia. Her first name is Princess.
Oh, shit.
No, she does have, it's like Andromeda or something.
Ooh, okay. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to talk about Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Yeah. Let's hear it, May.
Okay. So earlier in the week, Representative Cedric Richmond from Louisiana gave this amazing, like, impassioned speech on the floor because he was they're trying to pass this legislation in the House to address police brutality.
Right.
And the Republicans want to add a whole bunch of amendments to it, like with other shit that doesn't have anything to do with this, because that's normal. That's normal. They add stuff to different bills to get shit passed. But then Representative Richmond was like, this is not the time to be adding shit. We're in the middle of a crisis. It's an emergency. We have to get shit passed. And he said something about, and I'm looking across the aisle, and some of you, I guess, don't understand what it's like to have a black son and to be a black father of a black son.
Yeah.
And
which is a really powerful thing to say.
Super. And then Representative Matt Gaetz he was like, excuse me.
Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers.
Well, he started getting real upset on the floor. He was like, some of us have black children and black grandchildren or something. And then Representative Richmond was like, okay, that's not the point. The point,
yes.
The point is, you're just not going to, maybe you don't have the urgency that I have and that some of us have to get this passed, and you'll never understand that. And that's fine, but we need to work on this. Cut to, I think it was either later that day or the next day, Matt Gaetz posted a picture. He was like, let me get the actual tweet.
Because it's so ridiculous, right?
Fantastic.
You can't make this shit up.
So he tweeted, "For all those wondering, this is my son, Nestor. We share no blood, but he is my life. He came from Cuba, legally, of course, 6 years ago and lives with me in Florida. I'm so proud of him, and raising him has been the best, most rewarding thing I've done in my life." And he posted a picture of him.
Of him and this 45-year-old Cuban dude. That's the most confusing thing. For me, when I was reading it, at first I was like, what is this grown man saying? How old is this other man? Because his son just looks older, but...
Yeah.
But I was like, 6 years? You didn't raise that fool. He's grown as fuck. 6 years ago, he was fucking 25. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It just didn't make sense to me.
But then, okay, yes, that's an issue. And that also became a meme. People started posting pictures.
Yeah, whatever, right?
Of themselves with grown-ass men. George Takei posted a picture of him with Stephen Colbert, and he was like, this is my son. But then, it came to mind, how sometimes there are, grown-ass men playing on the Little League teams, from the DR and shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the point is, this man has either been hiding this boy
for
6 years, because then people started digging up old tweets and stuff where he pretends not to know him.
Look at these students that are interns, Nestor whatever, and somebody else. And it's ain't that your son, dude?
Yeah. And then he also calls him his helper, which is weird.
Whoa.
So
very
he's
weird.
the help or something? I don't know. It's fucking weird. So he's either hiding this boy for
it's a lie.
6 years, or it's a fucking lie.
Straight up.
And he just pulled him out to score points, invisible points against someone for missing the whole point of the conversation.
It didn't even make sense. You're missing the crux of the fucking issue.
Yeah. And then another thing, let's say it is true. This is the same representative who has approximately 8, and I'm exaggerating a little bit. I think maybe it's 5 DUIs.
Yeah.
And the only reason he got elected was because his dad threw $3 million into this election in the most, it is the reddest district in the country, or the second reddest, something like that. Something ridiculous.
Where is he?
In Florida, some part of Florida.
Ooh, Florida. Florida got 4,000 COVID cases in one day. Ooh.
I hate to see it because it affects all of us.
I know.
Yeah, so something is fishy. You were able, as a 27-year-old male with a million DUIs, to adopt someone without a background check.
He doesn't have a partner? Or
nope, single. Or he does. No, he's single, yeah.
Oh, that's even more interesting to me. I assumed he had kids and stuff. And
No, single man adopted a boy from Cuba, Cuban adoptions are so rare because they're very strict about that. How did this happen?
Strict about everything.
They didn't give you a background check?
They don't even let Cubans come play baseball over here. They're going to let you adopt a Cuban? That's real interesting, Matt.
There's something going on over there, and it's fucking weird.
Yeah, super weird. I saw someone take a picture with a Muppet, and they were like, this is my son, Nestor.
And then, obviously, this is also in the wake of the Lady G scandal. So then some people pointed out that in the past, gay men used to have to adopt their partners to be able to live legally with them, their adult partners.
Right.
So that was a discussion that was going on. That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's scary because he's very young then.
And also, fun fact, Matt Gaetz is the only person in all of Congress who I think there were 2 others out of, how many are there? Like 600? To vote against the human trafficking bill.
What?
Yeah. So,
What the fuck, man?
There's something extremely strange going on over there, and he is very buddy-buddy with the president, as we know.
This person is somebody that works in the government, everyone. Oh, God. That's really disgusting.
So that's a story to keep an eye on, because I feel like we haven't heard the last of it.
Oh, no, I'm sure not. Okay, let's talk about something else. That's gonna be sick. Everything's going to be sick. So Joe Rogan has been trending yesterday and today. I guess he said something like, if you wear a mask, you're a bitch or something stupid like that.
That sounds about right from him.
Yeah, she's a fucking idiot. So everybody's been dragging him. And I guess Bill Burr was on his podcast and said something like, listen, Joe, I'm not going to listen to you without a medical degree and me without a medical degree and talk about like whether or not we need to wear masks. I'm going to listen to the CDC.
Yeah. I saw that clip.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that actually.
Yeah.
Bill Burr's somebody I always forget about. And then he'll pop up in something and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. He's very abrasive personality.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he could fight probably, you know? I would be scared. I'd be like, oh fuck. He was in that. I just watched that movie, The King of Staten Island.
Oh, you rented that movie? Wasn't it like $1 million to rent it?
My brother rented it. Yeah. So I watched it. Yeah, it was expensive to rent. I was like, what the fuck?
Who is his mom, Marissa Tomei, in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how was it?
Oh, it was, you don't gotta watch that shit.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Which I think like I was mad too because I had just seen Ad Astra and Ad Astra I thought dragged on. And then I was watching this movie and also it was like fucking dragging on. And I was like, what is it with fucking movies now? Like nobody can make a movie under 2 hours anymore. Like it's like a law or something.
And also, I hate to say it, but Judd Apatow is just not I'm not running out to see Judd Apatow movies ever.
Yeah, it's like fine, whatever. I like Bridesmaids a shit ton, but
yeah, I like Bridesmaids, but he's only producer, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, because it was Paul Feig who directed it.
Oh, really?
Now a Paul Feig
dresses.
Oh yes, remember that episode of The Getaway?
Yes.
Did you ever watch that movie with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick?
No,
A
I
Simple
see
Plan?
it. I see like ads for it on Amazon and stuff.
That's a Paul Feig movie, and it's like a little bit.
A simple what?
I think it's called A Simple Plan. It's a little bit of a different tone that you would expect from him because it's almost a thriller. Like it's almost Paul Feig does Gone Girl.
Oh, interesting. A Simple Plan?
Yeah.
Now that's saying that's a movie from 1998.
A Simple Favor, maybe?
Oh, maybe it's that.
A Simple Favor, yeah.
I feel bad for what's her face? Well, Anna Kendrick was like odd. Like she came out and had an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
And then completely like
I like that movie.
Just fell off. Oh, me too. Up in the air. It's so fucking good. What's her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so good, right? Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, I don't fuck with Anna Kendrick though.
Yes, I know.
Vera Farmiga.
Yes.
Yeah, she's dope. I love her.
She's real badass. I feel bad for Blake Lively because I think she has all the accoutrements to be A-list, except she's really bad at her job.
She's good in this movie.
Really?
Yeah. I think her best shot at getting into the A-list was when she was in the what's the one that's like a bootleg Departed? The one that's directed by The Town. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was her shot. And I mean she did her job. It was fine, but like if she didn't capitalize at that moment and pop off then,
she was never going to. Yeah. Ooh, shout out to where did they go to high school? Burbank High School. Okay, what else happened this week?
Ooh, something that hurt us.
Oh no, me. I'm like avoiding those two.
Yeah.
Because it's like so heavy. Go ahead.
Okay. We might have even talked about it on the show before that, but like definitely top 2 or 3 of our favorite people on Twitter, Megan Amram.
We always talk about it, I think. We always talk about Twitter.
Yeah.
I wish our podcast was sponsored by Twitter.
Oh, did you see that now they're gonna have voice?
Oh no,
You can
but
drop
I heard
like voice stuff. So I feel like our podcast could just be like, well,
a Twitter thread.
Yeah. Anyway, so one of our favorite people on Twitter, Megan Amram, was outed for some extremely, extremely horrendous tweets.
Yeah, she back in 2011, 12, 13 tweeted really awful racist things against Asians and Asian Americans. And it's just like so...
Like the one that's really horrible, you almost can't even... I mean, I don't even
feel
want to say
comfortable
it.
really saying any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's how bad they are. They're so bad that like the only way you could think that it's funny is if you're that hateful against Asian Americans.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's really bad. And she gave like a really long, really sincere, I would say, apology. But I mean, it's not my business to forgive her, nor should
me either. And I actually was pissed about that because I saw all these people coming to her defense in her apology. They were like, "You're a good person," and all this shit. And it's like, it was like some white girl. It was like, "You're a good person," and then some Asian guy commented and was like, I never look at like men who do shitty things and be like, "You're good, bro."
Yeah,
because it's not my place to say that,
And I saw one tweet from someone who responded, who was of Asian heritage and did say like, "Okay, I accept your apology." Not obvious. She was like, "I don't speak for everyone, but I accept your apology." But she said, "Honestly, when I read what you wrote, it made me cry." And I
bet.
And I was like, "Oh yeah,
yeah."
Ugh, maybe I can read one of the less terrible. I mean, they're all terrible. Okay, this is probably the only one I can read on this or I feel comfortable reading on this podcast, and they only get worse from here, just so you know. She says, "I can never tell the difference between your and you are, you apostrophe R-E, and Asians."
Yeah, that's the least bad.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so the guy I was talking about, he tweeted, "I don't get why white people always pat each other on the back. Like, if a man apologized for being sexist, I wouldn't feel it was my place to applaud him or accept his apology."
Mm-hmm.
Which is true.
It's so true. It's just, but it made me, because she's not only so usually smart and funny, but she also her heart seems to be in the right place as far as like social issues.
Yeah.
So for this coming from her is just like extremely shocking. I had to double and triple check that it was real, not a hoax.
Yeah.
Because...
yeah, so many times we've said like, "Oh, she says exactly what we're trying to say."
Yeah.
Succinctly, like nice, beautifully, like, ooh. She hasn't tweeted since then.
And that's what I'm kind of on the lookout to see. How do you come back from this? How do you just like resume your life after being outed at someone who, at least at that time, had such hate in your heart?
Yeah, seriously. Pretty fucking awful. That should hurt me so bad. I was like, "See, we're on our own. This is so fucked up."
It's true because even the most woke people, even I was gonna say even liberals, because Amy Cooper, also known as Central Park Amy, a liberal, worked for liberal causes, campaigned for Hillary and everything. So that's another thing we could talk about.
I know, I forgot about it, and then you brought her up, and I was like, "Oh shit." Amy Cooper got absolutely fucking dragged in the New York Times this week.
You love to see it.
Central Park Amy, who a month or so ago went viral for calling the police on a black man. Oh, sorry, I should say his name. He's a whole ass snickety snack.
He
not
so
to
is.
Not to completely miss the point, but every time I see it, like, "You call the cops on that man? You're an idiot."
And he's like allegedly like 57 years old or something. I'm like, ooh.
What?
Yes, he looks good as fuck.
Oh shit, really, man?
It's because he's gay, so he got the bomb skincare routine.
Oh yeah, okay. That's fucked up. Christian Cooper.
Yeah.
Her name is also Amy Cooper.
Yeah, it is.
That is so weird. Amazing. That's kind of really weird.
Yeah, like what are the odds?
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, Christian Cooper So, sorry, what the hell was I saying? I don't even remember. Amy Cooper called the cops on Christian Cooper.
A bird
saying
watcher and a
Yeah,
snack.
a bird watcher, a fine black bird watcher. And she told the cops, a black man is threatening me or some
Threatening my
dumbass shit.
life. And then she started
Threatening my
crying.
Then she started choking her dog. This shit was all kinds of fucked up. They did a little article on her in the New York Times, and boy, did they.
All her shit is out there.
They just like all her life secrets.
So, Amy Cooper gave $65,000 to a married man she worked with to leave his wife and pay for an abortion with a different woman because they were allegedly in a relationship. So
Her and this guy.
yeah,
But he had gotten this other woman pregnant.
Yeah. So she was like, here, baby, here's $65,000. Handle your business. Get out of your marriage. Pay this other bitch off to have an abortion. And we can go live happily ever after.
So wait a minute. Amy Cooper is dating a guy who is married and has another woman pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like third in line.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And she thought those $65,000 were going to get it. Whoop, swoop her to the front.
So he took her money. And he did leave his wife.
But not for Amy.
And not even for the other bitch. But another bitch who was also reggaeton.
That's fucking disgusting. That man's gross.
And if you look at a picture of him, it's like, you would think we're telling this story. He's not Don Draper. He's not Brad
He's not Christian Cooper. You would think.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm paying $65,000 for a man, shit.
Yeah, that better be one hell of a snack.
You better be a whole damn meal.
Yeah.
No, this man.
No, it's some balding fucking IT motherfucker. Like, what the fuck?
He looks like my former cousin. Ooh, I mean, it sounds about right. He looks like we'll bleep out his name, but he looks like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So the New York Times wrote this in a story about the incident, and ooh, God.
Yeah, they didn't need to do this, but they did.
So embarrassing. And then I went back to the original New York Post article about this because she ended up suing his ass for the $65,000, right?
Oh, yep.
So the New York Post actually wrote about this back in 2015, and he says that Amy is like a stalker, like they were never together.
Oh, shit.
And that she was just...
Still shouldn't take... all the more reason not to take money from her, you asshat.
He was like, she invented this relationship that they had together or something. But he was like,
you fucking cashed in on it,
He was like, yeah, I took the money.
Yeah, I did it. And what? And I'd do it again.
And then in another twist, Amy became friends with his wife.
Oh, fuck.
Like, they're actually quite close, and they spend holidays together and shit.
Oh, no. That's weird.
And then that woman's father says that he understands that friendship because they were both victimized by this man. Let me call out this fucking... Why are we protecting this motherfucker?
Yeah, fuck that.
Martin Priest is his name.
Yeah, fuck Martin Priest.
So that was a beautiful twist to this beautiful story. I'm loving it.
Yeah, seriously. Oh,
look at this picture I took of Lenny yesterday.
Oh, I like the little videos you were putting of Lenny on Drama Club Pods.
I was reading him.
Yeah. He's so cute. He's just looking at you like, what?
What else we got? Oh, so
man, you think I'm listening to what you're saying when this beautiful dog is looking at her?
You claim to be French.
He's such a good boy. I like how one of his ears hangs low.
Because he was sleepy. That happens when he's sleeping.
But that's not what these wrinkles say.
You're stupid.
The library is closed.
The last thing we have is Chris D'Elia. We could save it for like a...
Because I'm already going to be talking about it.
I know, yeah. Okay, so for everybody wondering, Chris D'Elia is a rapist. That's all we got to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is rapist the right term?
He's definitely a predator.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, I'm sure out of all the times we've seen like a dozen of his tries on the internet, I'm sure he succeeded
At least once or twice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, seriously. That got really gross really fast, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So,
Comedian,
go ahead.
Comedian Chris D'Elia was outed for texting and DMing a whole bunch of underage girls.
Yeah.
And
underage or just very, very young.
Yes.
He was already over mid-30s.
Right. But I think the youngest I saw was 15 or 16.
Yeah, but there were some like 19, 20 years olds, and they're overage, but that's not okay when you're fucking 38. I'm sorry.
And he was pressuring them to meet up with him in solo situations, to send him nudes.
Tricking them, like he invited them, like, let's go drinking. Oh, meet me at the hotel bar. Oh, meet me in my hotel.
Mm-hmm.
2 girls actually, like, he was like, I'm having a party in my room, and they got there and they were alone, which is fucking... Oh my God, that's so scary.
Especially when you're 18 years old or something, because then you're like, and then there's also this pressure where it's a famous person, and then you're like, okay, I don't want to be uncool or something, like I don't want to leave and seem like a kid because I feel like a kid and I want to be an adult. Like, oh
yeah, it's so awful. That's fucking horrible.
And he would blackmail some of these girls, like, oh, if don't say anything because I have your nudes.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my God, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he's fucking disgusting. He wasn't funny even to begin with, but but fuck him all the way. And then he said something like, anything I've ever done has been consensual and all this shit.
Oh, he made a comment?
He did say something, yeah.
Consensual with a 15-year-old, with a 16-year-old? No.
You can't have consent when there's an imbalance of power like that.
Yeah.
Can you just fucking y'all
ridiculous.
missed the whole ass point. Like,
right. He came on my radar because he was the romantic lead with Whitney Cummings on Whitney. So
I really tried to watch that show too when it first came out.
Me too.
This is back in the time of my DVR.
Yeah.
So like I recorded it every week and I would try to watch it because I liked Whitney and yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I don't watch shows. I don't watch multi-camera sitcoms. Yeah. So has she said anything? Has Whitney Cummings said anything?
No,
not that she should have to, but
yeah, no. And people were trying to like bring her into the conversation, and I think that's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's fucking gross.
Yeah, he's disgusting.
I have me and our friend Jasmine have a mutual friend who I met through Jasmine because she used to work at the
Laugh Factory.
At the Laugh Factory. So we have this guy that we know who has, I mean, I'm not going to say his name because he's had a feud with Chris D'Elia for a long time. And he's talked about it with me like, oh yeah, I don't fuck with that guy. He's a joke stealer. And
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And they've had like this long running feud. And anytime anyone brings up Chris D'Elia, like in his presence, he'll be like, no, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And
ooh, that's got to feel so good.
I know. And then the first thing I did when I read about this was I texted her. I was like, ooh, what does he say? Like, has he said anything to you about it? And she was like, no, he hasn't said anything. But I know that he's like, feels so like fucking vindicated.
Yeah, that's got to be awesome.
Yeah.
Harvey, thank you for killing whoever you had to kill to get me up here today. And to Harvey Weinstein, the tough guy on the playground with the biggest heart. Thank you for saying you'd do anything for your friends, and you always do. Thank you.
And then Harvey Weinstein. Harvey and Bob Weinstein.
Thank you, Harvey Weinstein. I want to thank Harvey and Bob Weinstein, my agent Kevin Uvain, and God, Harvey Weinstein.
So hi guys, this is the Drama Club.
My name is Stephanie.
And my name is May. This is the podcast about
scandals,
gossip,
drama, celebrities, movies,
creeps, predators,
Congress,
adult sons,
Twitter first and foremost. I don't know why we try to lie.
Yeah, this is the Twitter show.
Yeah. That's funny. Is there a podcast that's just about Twitter?
I don't know, but this morning my mom asked me, hey, can you give me a synopsis on Twitter?
What?
And I was like, You follow people that you like. And she's like, okay, I got that part. And I was like, I don't know what else to say.
She like 15 years late on Twitter is like,
She was like, I follow RuPaul. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, that's a good start.
yeah. How is RuPaul on Twitter?
I don't know. I don't follow RuPaul.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's nobody that I've ever heard like, oh, you got to follow RuPaul on Twitter.
Because we know that she likes to frack. So. Okay, so I will go first. This one has been requested by a lot of people. So don't come at me talking about where's your shout out, because it was a lot of y'all.
People do. We're like, where's my shout out? Fucking where's my hug ass motherfucker.
Oh, I have a friend like that. Ugh.
I don't like that shit.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Harvey Weinstein. For this, I watched the documentary Untouchable, which is on Hulu. Definitely watch that. And I also read Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill, which I think it was a good read, but it's like, you would think it's about Harvey, but it's really not. It's more about NBC News, which is honestly like the more shocking and interesting story. But that's we'll talk about that some other time.
May kept saying, like, should I do it on NBC or Harvey? Should I do it on NBC or Harvey?
Because nobody's asked for NBC, but
I'm asking for NBC shit. See, that's how I know we'll never really make it, man, because we talk so much shit about NBC, and NBC owns everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's all right.
Whenever possible, I won't go super into detail about what Harvey did to these women. For that, you should hear it from their own mouths in Untouchable and other interviews that they've done. But sometimes I will give you an idea. So in any case, trigger warning. Harvey was born in Brooklyn on March 19th,
Really?
1952.
Damn.
Does that shock you to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought he was from like Connecticut.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that because he's like rich as fuck. Like you would think, yeah. So he and his younger brother, Bob, they were born in Brooklyn, but they grew up in Flushing, Queens, just like the nanny. Shout out to my queen, Fran Drescher. And it was a regular schmegular family. His childhood friend, Dave Cannon, says Harvey was unremarkable as a kid, but maybe...
That's a drag.
No, it's not a drag. It's just like, he was just like you or me, just like a regular kid.
I guess. No, bitch, I wasn't a regular kid either. You think anybody in our family would be like, they were unremarkable? No.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
So he says maybe he was like a little bit of an outcast. Like he kept to himself a little bit, but that was about it, which is like what you hear about killers and shit. So
yeah, very true.
Then sometime in the beginning of college at SUNY Buffalo, Harvey adopted this weird, obnoxious persona that would become his trademark. Something like a wannabe Godfather mafioso type.
Ew.
Yeah. And I'm sure if that pops up out of nowhere, like, you must be like, ew, like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's not you.
Yeah.
But this is just me psychoanalyzing him. I think it was a defense mechanism because he was always very insecure about his looks.
Right.
He was always overweight and not attractive. And I think that maybe...
I think that scientifically the word is fugly.
Yeah.
That's not a word I would use to describe a regular human, but this is a fucking monster.
Yeah,
so.
A monster with a monster, it's fine. Yeah, you're right. He fugly. And I think that maybe people weren't shy about letting him know that.
Yeah, people seemed ruthless back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of bullying.
Or like at the very least, they didn't treat him like regular people, like, you know, the pretty people or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So Harvey and Bob started a concert promotion company along with another friend, and it wasn't long before Harvey was the biggest concert promoter in Buffalo, New York, which in the 70s was a huge deal. Apparently, like, that was like one of the big spots that, like, you'd go to Manhattan, Buffalo, Los Angeles, you know, Seattle, Chicago, you know, it was like on the map as far as concerts go. So this was a huge deal. But Harvey and Bob were film buffs. Like, they would always go to like the local independent cinema and watch like foreign films. And like, that was what they really liked. Like, they liked music, but they loved film.
Oh, that's cool.
In 1978, they made their move into film. And Harvey recruited a friend named Hope D'Amore to work with him to try to get the movie business off the ground. Unfortunately, Hope became Harvey's earliest known victim. On an overnight business trip to Manhattan, he manipulated Hope into thinking there was a mistake and that their hotel only had one room available. So she told him that he'd have to sleep on the chair. She figured, worst case scenario, he'd tell people that something happened. Like, oh yeah, we stayed in the hotel,
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, whatever. But what ended up happening was that he got into bed naked with her and said, quote, "Do you really want to make me an enemy for 5 minutes of your time?"
Jesus Christ.
And her heartbreaking quote from the interview was, quote, "He's huge."
Oh
So
my
it's like,
God.
what is she supposed to do? She said she was like 95 pounds back then. She was like
I was
maybe
gonna
100.
say,
And what
yeah.
was she supposed to,
How tall is he?
I think
seems-
he's like 6'1" or something.
Yeah, he seems like very like tall, but just like giant, right?
Like Shrek.
Yeah.
This is like the most Shrek looking motherfucker.
Yeah, seriously. Don't do that to Shrek.
Don't do that to Shrek.
Yeah, I heard it too. I started laughing.
Okay, yeah, so he was huge. Harvey used to say often, this was something he would say to everybody, that he owned the cops in Buffalo because they worked security at his concerts when they were moonlighting and shit.
Wow.
So obviously Hope had heard that, so she knew that, and that was a huge reason why she didn't go to the police, because he made it known that he owns the cops, and we already established that he acts like this motherfucking gangster mafioso.
Yeah.
So he was already exploiting his connections for cover early on. This is 78.
Right.
According to Hope, quote, "He thinks he's telling the truth when he says he hadn't had non-consensual sex. If he gets what he wanted, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter what it takes to get there." And that turned out to be true not only of his victims, but also in his business. Harvey and Bob took the profits from their concert business and started the film distribution company Miramax.
That's fucking crazy.
And Miramax released some concert films in the late 70s. But in 1982, they bought the American distribution rights to a film called The Secret Policeman's Other Ball, and it was a hit. That was the seed that by the late 1980s reached a fever pitch and established Miramax as the film distributor of the best in independent and art house cinema upon release of The Bops, Cinema Paradiso,
Oof.
Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and My Left
Oof.
Foot. So that run of 3 films right there changed the motherfucking game.
Right.
After they dropped The Crying Game in 1993.
That's a good ass movie.
Yep.
I just watched it because it's on Netflix. Remember I told you?
Yeah, I remember. That was not that long ago, huh?
No, it's really good.
So they dropped The Crying Game in 93. Then Disney bought a controlling interest in Miramax in May of 93.
Wow.
But the thing was, Disney, like, they bought it, but then they fell back. They were like, "Bob, Harvey, you guys have complete control of this because you know what the fuck you're doing, So Disney was...
Were they the ones picking the movies? Bob and Harvey?
Yeah. And they talk about in the documentary how that's why they were so successful, because it wasn't this big conglomerate where you had to run it up the pole. Oh, I like this movie. Let's, let me talk to my boss, and then let me talk to my boss, and then let me talk to this person it was like, you just go to Bob and Harvey, and they were like, yeah, I like it. Let's buy it. Let's go.
Wow.
So Disney recognized that, and they were, quote, invisible, because they knew that the Weinsteins knew what the fuck they were doing.
Right.
So Disney just signed the checks and cashed the returns.
Oh, that's kind of ideal, actually.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So Harvey and Bob were now gambling with somebody else's money, which meant
Seriously.
that they could now really go off. So it was a really great time for them creatively. I think it was Pulp Fiction in 94 that really got shit popping for them.
I was gonna say.
And it catapulted them into the stratosphere as far as influence and respect and power goes in the industry. And as a result, the 90s became the era of Miramax. And Harvey, being the face of Miramax, became king, and everyone in Hollywood lined up to kiss the ring.
Oof.
Seriously, look up photos of Harvey in the 90s, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a photo of him where he's not talking to and embracing one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah, he, like, literally every fucking A-list celebrity,
Everyone.
grinning ass picture next to Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
Like, there's not one person you can't find a picture of next to Harvey Weinstein. That's fucking crazy.
If you were a superstar, you knew Harvey.
Right.
If you were lucky you worked with him, maybe you were a superstar because you worked with him. So, head of development at Miramax, Jack Lechner, describes him as a caricature of a movie mogul, but like from an antiquated kind that you would think didn't exist anymore, like a Louis B. Mayer from MGM.
Right.
Old Hollywood types, all powerful, bombastic. Just for example, Harvey was physically violent with the guys that worked for him. He would often throw stuff like ashtrays at people, and they were like, all you could do is duck.
Yeah, because he can, like, because that's how powerful he is. That's scary.
Someone at the company said, quote, "You either dealt with it or you left." Everyone at Miramax knew that Harvey was cheating on his wife, Eve, his former assistant, whom he married in 1987. I mean, that's your assistant. You married your assistant? Okay.
Yeah.
But
Don Draper.
but everyone figured that was it. He's a cheater. A lot of people are. Gossip writer AJ Benza talks about how he had assumed that all these actresses were sleeping with Harvey because they figured it would advance their careers. He kind of talks about how it never crossed his mind that Harvey would be pressuring these women in any way. And just hearing him say that, obviously it never occurred to him or a lot of people actually that the power imbalance could prove to be the problem. For Bob's assistant, Kathy, this blindness on her part ended when another assistant stopped coming to work and she didn't know why. Upon doing some digging, some people started whispering to her about what they heard had maybe happened. Miramax CFO John Schmidt, who had been friends with the young lady in question, described it as so, quote, "She had been delivering a script to Harvey's apartment and something very bad happened." Later, when Kathy, as part of her work, casually opened a letter to Bob and Harvey from some attorneys representing this young woman, she read that the woman was pursuing legal action against Harvey following a sexual assault. Harvey ended up throwing some money at the problem and making her sign an NDA.
Wow.
This would become his MO and happened probably dozens of times, it's hard to say.
Oh.
But this time it all happened very quickly, allegedly in a matter of 2 or 3 days. Shortly after becoming aware of this whole deal, Kathy quit, and in the office loudly made it known that Harvey was a, quote, pig on her way out. She says she was screaming it to Bob on her way out. She was like, "Your brother's a fucking pig."
Good for her.
John Schmidt says that he lives with the guilt of not quitting as soon as he became aware of his friend's sexual assault. Not to only call him out about his complacency, because a lot of people were complicit over the years. From staff at Miramax and later the Weinstein Company to studio heads, agents, managers, actors, you name it. Because a lot of people had heard rumors, or in the case of Jack, like straight up heard firsthand factual accounts and just like blocked them out. Now, of course, I don't expect all of these people to be in positions to be able to do anything about it or even speak up. This was a powerful dude. But some of these people certainly could have. Just for example, Quentin Tarantino. I want to point him out because his girlfriend at the time, Mira Sorvino, shout out to Mira Sorvino forever, by the way.
Yeah.
Very quietly, one of the smartest people in Hollywood, up there with like a Jodie Foster. Yeah, she had a firsthand story about Harvey, and Quentin knew about it. Obviously, that was his girlfriend.
Like, I think what's so shocking to me when this story came out was that everybody knew about it.
Everybody. Like,
everybody knew and just, like, let him keep on raping. Like, just, like, turn a blind eye. Like, Brad knew about it. Gwyneth Paltrow knew about it. Like, fucking everybody knew about it.
Yeah. Maybe that's part of it, too, where you look around and everybody knows about it. So you're like, how come nobody's doing anything? Like,
I better not do anything.
Yeah. Oh. So Quentin knew about it, yet continued to make movies for Harvey for the next, 20-something years.
He'd still be making movies for that boy.
Quentin is a powerful dude, and I'm not saying he was as powerful as Harvey or could even take him down, but the absolute least he could do was not work with him after your fucking girlfriend told you that something happened.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I promise you another movie would have let you do Kill Bill. Or another like, studio. Fuck.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this little open secret even became a public punchline famously joked about by Seth MacFarlane while announcing the Best Actress Oscar nominations, and a really dark, in retrospect, joke on 30 Rock. But my personal favorite little quote related to this was from our friend Courtney Love, who, when asked on a red carpet what her advice was for young girls moving to Hollywood, said, quote, I'll get libeled if I say it. Fuck it. If Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party at the Four Seasons, don't go.
It's fucking scary. See, that's scary to me too. Like, everybody knew about it. Like, literally everybody did.
This particular thing was back at the '05 roast of Pamela Anderson, which, if you remember, was the same night Courtney hit rock bottom with drugs. which is really saying something. So it kind of got overshadowed and ignored. They were like, yeah, she's fucking.
It's also Courtney Love. People don't listen to what she has to say.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Zelda Perkins. She worked at Miramax's London office. She was kind of like Harvey's right-hand arm man in London. His silly rabbit. That was a callback to V. Stiviano and Donald Sterling. If you haven't heard Stephanie tell that story, go back and find that episode. And also find the video of V. Stiviano saying that, because it will never not be the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, it makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
Anyway, Zelda talks about how he normalized having her around at all times, making it seem like he was so important and busy. So if you were in his hotel room while he was pantsless and shaving or something, he was like barking orders at you. You were just like, yeah, of course.
Right.
This is par for the course. Except that he would often take it further. And, you know, while you were in there, he would ask for massages while he was pantsless in his hotel room. She would rebuff him, but she says she felt like she was never not fighting him off in this way, just trying to keep her head above water. She says that when she interviewed assistants, she would always warn them that he would act inappropriately. But she would tell them that if you were just stern and just cut him down quickly and robustly, you'd be fine, because that's how it had always been for her. So one time she hired this young woman, and on that woman's first night on the job, he assaulted her and attempted to rape her.
Oh my God.
The next day, when that woman told Zelda, Zelda confronted Harvey, and he swore on his wife and 3 children's lives that it wasn't true. That's how Zelda knew it was true, because she'd heard him use that line on several occasions as a last resort when he needed to dodge being caught in some lie.
Ew.
Yeah. So she resigned in 1998. The young woman, by the way, didn't want to go to the police for obvious reasons. Anyway, upon her resignation, Zelda immediately was bombarded with like 24 phone calls from Harvey. So she started to get scared to the point where she feared for her life. So she saved his voicemails to have some sort of insurance. And you can hear how desperate he is in the messages to speak with her, implying that he needs her help.
Really?
Yeah, you know, to make sure that she's not going to talk.
Yeah.
So Zelda contacts her attorneys and begins to negotiate for what she describes as an enormous sum of money to reflect the egregiousness of his crime in return for her signing an NDA. But this NDA turned out to be insane. In it, she wasn't allowed to talk to a therapist unless this therapist was pre-approved and signed an NDA first.
Whoa.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. What are the therapy rules on like sexual assault crimes?
I don't think they're allowed to disclose it, not unless they're actively
a danger, right? Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Because I know that's what it is on like hurting yourself or hurting someone else.
Yeah.
Like they just can't say anything unless.
Right.
Yeah. Unless it's going to
So
happen.
it's like in Zelda's case, he was no longer her employer. He wasn't, like.
Yeah. That makes no sense then. Ooh.
And
he just can't risk it not one bit because he knows that.
I know. Yeah.
Similar to Chris D'Elia, the receipts would come a walking.
And if the therapist broke the NDA, then she would also be held equally responsible in the subsequent lawsuit for damages.
Wow.
Also in this agreement was a stipulation that should any criminal or civil suit come about in relation to this assault, that Zelda would have to provide, quote, reasonable assistance to protect Miramax and Harvey. So she would have to lie, basically.
Yeah.
She took the deal and dipped, which honestly, I can't blame her. She was scared.
Yeah, no, good for her.
Meanwhile, at The New Yorker, Ken Aletta was working on a profile about Harvey. While doing the reporting work, he stumbled on the story of this young woman and Zelda. It turned out that this was, quote, resolved by Harvey when he paid out $250,000 to this young lady to make her sign an NDA about the assault. And like I said, Zelda fell off the face of the earth after she signed her deal. She was actually hiding out in Guatemala when she was contacted by Ken. She started freaking out, thinking that even accepting his call might put her in breach of her agreement.
Right.
So she ultimately wouldn't go on the record with anything or even name the young woman off the record. So Ken couldn't publish anything related to these allegations because obviously The New Yorker is one of the great journalistic institutions in this country and arguably the world. So they weren't going to publish anything unless they could back it up with hard proof.
Right.
So we're left with Ken publishing a profile about Harvey, leaving out the bombshell information, but fucking knowing the monster that this man is. and ultimately continuing to kind of on the side tease out and pursue the story over the next several years to see if he could come up with like anything publishable, and he never could. Erica Rosenbaum, an aspiring actress. She didn't know who Harvey was, but through a friend ended up sitting next to Harvey at a dinner. Harvey chats her up, talking about his love of cinema and how he discovered Gwyneth Paltrow, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, wow, this dude is a genius. He's a visionary. So then he tells her that he'd like to talk to her about her career and asks her to accompany him on the ride back to his hotel so they can talk. But then they get...
That seems like safe enough.
Right. There's a driver. You're
Yeah.
like, okay. So when they get there, he says that he'd like to keep talking upstairs in his office suite. Erica talks about how she knew, and by the way, she's young. She's like 22 or 23. So she says that she knew that going up was risky, but this was obviously a once in a lifetime shot. This would be your big break. I mean, we've talked on the podcast about how Lana Turner was discovered having a milkshake or whatever at the drugstore. Like,
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, like, it's so hard for actors and actresses to
Yeah.
make it, and you're literally like, you're having a private conversation with one of the most powerful people in Hollywood.
with the guy who, if he decides that you're gonna make it in an
he
instant,
could make it happen.
he can make it happen by tomorrow.
Yeah, and like, you're gonna cut that off. Why? Because you have like a slight, what? Like, you're scared.
Your reservation. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just gonna
Mhm.
like put that aside and
People dream of this moment, and here she is. This
seriously,
is it.
seriously, yeah.
So it's totally understandable. And she takes the risk and she goes upstairs. But once they were upstairs, Harvey didn't feel like talking business anymore, of course. And he took his shirt off, asked her to take her shirt off. She didn't, but he takes his shirt off and he puts his arm around her waist in a very familiar way. So she was like, "Ooh, this isn't cool. I have a boyfriend. I gotta go." Like, it's getting like she's making all the excuses. Like, I gotta go,
Mhm.
And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "You have a boyfriend. I'm married. This is how things are done in Hollywood." And then he rattled off a list of famous actresses, implying that they were once in her position. So he laid on the bed and she gave him a massage until she could come up with an excuse where she could leave. And she was leaving. And as she was leaving, she said that he was actually kind of chill, like she'd passed some kind of test. And he said that he'd see what he could do for her career. And basically the exact same thing happened to countless actresses, including people we've all heard of, like Rosanna Arquette, Rose McGowan, and Paz de la Huerta, to varying degrees of worseness, including rape. Like, this girl, Erica, she's lucky.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I don't want to go into detail, but yeah, listen to their stories in Untouchable and in a ton of other print interviews. So
Paz de la Huerta makes me really sad because,
her whole life has been ruined.
yeah, she's just like, she's gone down
Mm-hmm.
like a really bad like emotional place, and
Yeah.
I feel for her.
Her mental health is just,
Yeah, it's in shambles.
So our friend Erica, in the grand scheme of things, I guess got off easy, right? Wrong. A few years later, after periodically updating Harvey via phone call and email about what was up with her career, as he'd encouraged her to do when she last saw him in the hotel, they both found themselves at the Toronto Film Festival, and Harvey invited Erica to a meeting in his hotel room with his assistant. So Erica, thinking, okay, well, I know how to handle him. Like, I got out of the situation last time. If anything starts to get sketchy, I'll know what to do. Besides, his assistant will be there, so this is fine. So she goes up, and Harvey quickly makes his assistant disappear. So Erica's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go," but he pressures her into staying. And what really struck me is she said, quote, "I thought leaving would be worse." And yeah, things got really bad. I'll leave it to Erica to give the details.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Miramax is going on a hell of a run. The English Patient wins 1 million Oscars. Life is Beautiful makes a huge splash at the Oscars. Remember when Life is Beautiful dropped?
Oh God, the English Patient make?
Yeah. And Harvey weaponizes Oscar wins and nominations in a way that changes the game forever.
Yeah.
He basically invented the Oscar season campaign, throwing parties, giving gifts to Academy members, private screenings, whatever, because a win or even a nomination meant millions more in revenues for a film and brought him and Miramax more power and influence.
Yeah.
He has literally been thanked more than God in Oscar speeches. More than God. So imagine what Harvey thinks of himself at this point.
Yeah.
And,
It's disgusting.
and also he's famous in his own right now because of this.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if you're like us and you follow like award show and shit. Like what other like movie mogul do you know off the top of your head?
None.
Anyway, during the 2000 presidential campaign, Miramax was holding back the release of the movie O. You guys remember that movie with
Yeah.
Mekhi Phifer, Josh Hartnett, Julia Stiles?
Julia Stiles. Yeah. It's Ophelio, right?
Othello.
Othello. There you go.
It was a very violent high school movie. And word on the street was that Miramax was holding it because Harvey was a big-time donor to the Democratic Party, and Al Gore was running on a platform that included a big pushback on the way violence was portrayed in the media. Side note, how quaint. Like, we were so innocent. Like, that was what we were worried about in 2000.
Yeah, seriously.
Anyway, so suffice it to say, Harvey was buddy-buddy with the upper echelon of mostly Democratic Party politics, notably President Bill Clinton.
Ugh.
Anyway, and I mean, and Obama and Hillary and like everybody, but you know. So at a star-studded private party in New York, journalist Rebecca Traister tried to get a comment from Harvey about what was up with this movie. She held her tape recorder up to Harvey, but Harvey basically blew her off and said no comment and left. Okay, that was that. But then he came back and started screaming at her. You can't use that, and loudly screaming, who let this fucking cunt into this party? And a bunch of other obscenities all in the middle of this party. Like, it's like record scratch. Everybody's staring.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Goldman, another journalist who was there, who also happened to be Rebecca's boyfriend, was was like, whoa, hey, you have no right to talk to her like that. You're out of line. And Harvey goes, quote, I'm glad I'm the fucking sheriff of this shit-ass fucking town.
Ooh.
Which in hindsight is like terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harvey suddenly realizes that he'd said that basically right into Andrew's recorder, and he tried to take the recorder from Andrew. He literally starts tussling with him. Then, remember, Harvey is huge. He manages to grab Andrew and drags him across the party and out the door, puts him in a headlock and starts punching him in the head.
Holy shit.
Well, they're outside now, and the paparazzi starts going nuts, taking a million pictures. This is the money shot.
Yeah.
And Harvey lets Andrew go, and Andrew and Rebecca get the fuck out of there. But the crazy thing is that not a single photo of Harvey, the most powerful man in Hollywood, beating up on a journalist was ever published to this day.
Wow.
That's how powerful Harvey was.
That's fucking crazy.
And also, Rebecca and Andrew's boss was like, leave the story. Like, they didn't publish it. What happened?
Wow.
In 2004, Eve divorced Harvey, and he would later marry designer and actress Georgina Chapman. And
damn, she stayed with him for a long ass time.
A long time.
Yeah.
I bet she got a lot of money.
Hell yeah. She got that Disney money.
Yup. So he would later marry designer and actress Georgina Chapman and have a couple more kids with her. In March of 2005, Disney pushed Harvey and Bob out of Miramax, after which they started the Weinstein Company, but lost all the rights to their Miramax properties and the Miramax name.
Wow.
So they were starting from zero with the Weinstein Company. And as big and powerful as they were, starting from zero is hard and expensive.
Yeah.
And they quickly ran through over $1 billion in bank money in the initial years at the Weinstein Company just to get shit off the ground.
Wow.
So, I mean, they're in trouble. Like, not
personally.
Not personally, yeah, but
professionally.
Professionally, this is something that they're going to have to surpass.
Right.
So yeah, Harvey was at his weakest point than in the previous 15 plus years. In 2017, Lauren O'Connor was a 28-year-old literary reader at the Weinstein Company. I feel like I could do that job.
What is that job? I was about to ask.
That's like you read like a book and you're like, somebody should make a movie out of this.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. Then you give it to Harvey and he's like,
I would be awful at that job. Every book I'd read, I'd be like, somebody should make a movie out of this. Somebody should make a movie out of this. Somebody should make a movie out of this.
You know what I just watched for the first time this week? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, I like that movie a lot.
And I was like, of course somebody made a movie out of this.
Yeah, it's good. I like Daniel Craig. I don't know why. he's not like a great actor.
I'm neutral on him.
Yeah, he's fine. I just,
Mhm.
you know why I like him? I like that he's married to Rachel Weisz, and I think she could do better.
Oh yeah, she could write her own ticket. She could get anybody, but she
Yeah.
getting that bond money.
Yeah, she's real smart for that.
Mhm. So yeah, Lauren, she's a literary agent, and it sounds like Harvey fucking broke her, just like verbally abused her into submission. She's just, you could tell just talking about him, she was just like terrified of him.
Oh no.
Well, a colleague approached her in the immediate aftermath of being coerced and intimidated by Harvey into giving him one of his disgusting massages. And this colleague told Lauren, she was still crying, it had just happened. So Lauren wrote an internal memo at work about it so that something would be down in writing. She didn't actually say what happened, but she talked about the general notion of being intimidated and coerced by this man.
Yeah.
So shout out to that queen.
Yeah, good for her.
Well, her memo was leaked to the New York Times, which set off an investigation over there. Enter Ronan Farrow. Ronan was working on a broad story about discrimination in Hollywood for NBC News. In the course of his reporting, he kept finding breadcrumbs about the Harvey story. So he started digging, recognizing that this was potentially a bombshell story. Like I said, the story of what happened over at NBC News with Ronan and this story is its own fucking story, which hopefully I'll get into in another episode. But
Yeah.
long story short, NBC
Oh
News...
yeah, you got to me. So I want to hear it.
NBC News buried it in what the book implies is essentially a vast conspiracy, which, I mean, there's no other explanation for why they would have buried this.
Yeah. Why? Why do so many people protect Harvey fucking Weinstein?
Well, in the case of NBC, it's implied that maybe he knew about Matt Lauer and was blackmailing them.
Oh.
It gets really
also, why you gotta protect Matt Lauer?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think I could do that fucking job? There's so many people that could do that fucking job. And better.
Who do they have now? They don't have a man on that show right now, huh?
Who cares? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Don't put a man on TV.
I don't trust any man at this point, honestly.
Yeah, don't you be telling me the fucking weather. I know it's gonna rain later. You're saying it's gonna be sunny. Fuck you.
So Ronan they were like, NBC said, we're not going to publish this, so you do whatever you want to do. Like, take it somewhere else. And he was like, are you sure? And like, so Ronan took the story to the New Yorker, where our old friend Ken Aletta had first started this story practically 2 decades before at that point.
Wow.
And when the New Yorker published this story in October 2017, along with the parallel story at the New York Times by Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey, it went off like a bomb, kicking off the Me Too movement and giving cover for countless women to come forward with their own stories of harassment and assault, not only against Harvey. He himself was accused by over 80 women, which is, I mean, and how many people are still not coming forward about Harvey? Like,
yeah, I looked at his Wikipedia page. It's 95 women
Jesus,
who made sexual harassment or assault allegations, 15 rape.
Oh, God.
So that's 110 women.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you know that some people are like, I left that behind. I'm just not thinking about it. I'm not going to come forward. So like,
yeah. And who can blame them?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So the point is, how many women? We don't fucking know.
Right. More than 110 though.
Yeah. But the Me Too movement kicks off not only in Hollywood, but also everywhere else. And as we know, that struggle continues.
Yeah.
But back to Harvey. Remember that he was weaker than ever at this point because of where the Weinstein Company was as far as money goes. And as a result,
So we're like 10 years into the Weinstein Company though, right?
Yeah, because it started in 05.
05?
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a result, he was very quickly, swiftly, ultimately fired from his own company, the Weinstein Company.
Just get out.
Despite his denials of any and all allegations of harassment, intimidation, non-consensual sex, and criminality. And Georgina Chapman quickly divorced his ass.
Ooh, good for you.
Fun fact, Harvey publicly opposed the effort to extradite Roman Polanski from Switzerland to the U.S. I wonder why.
Uh-huh.
It's also, that's kind of reminds me of Matt Gaetz now that I'm thinking about it. Like, why'd you oppose that human trafficking thing?
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Harvey was finally charged with rape in New York on May 25th, 2018, in connection with his assaults on 2 different women. After a trial which included a description of his, quote, deformed and broken penis, something I don't want to get into because I don't want to lead anyone in shaming someone for a deformity, but I highly encourage those who are interested to look it up because I have no problem with just participating in this shaming of this literal, vile, disgusting monster. But anyway, after a trial, he was found guilty of several charges and sentenced to 23 years in prison. Oh yeah, and he still faces another rape trial here in Los Angeles in the near future. So, so regardless of the outcome of that trial, he's going to die in prison where he belongs.
Yes.
As you might remember, he also recently got the Rona virus, and not even the Rona could take him out. That's how hard it is to take Harvey down.
Motherfucker.
And that's the story of Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, God. Good job, May.
Try to keep that one as light as possible.
I know. No, you did good considering like how awful it gets.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a nice life.
Pack up your knives and go.
That's my favorite. Oh, God.
I mean, ultimately, it's to bring awareness and make people, realize what's really going on in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that are unjust. People aren't being held accountable for, and that's something that needs to change. That's something that, this country stands for freedom, liberty, justice for all, and it's not happening for all right now.
Well, I'm glad I chose who I chose then.
Okay, good.
Because something a little, somebody we could like look at as a man and love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna do Colin Kaepernick.
Woo!
Which so I was gonna do Russell Simmons. I'll just let you guys know, and I couldn't figure out my HBO Max, and the reason I couldn't figure out is because it's not an app for Roku yet. So I'm a big ass idiot.
HBO fucked up with that, like the rollout on that.
I don't understand what's going on. Like, and then I just got very quickly frustrated, and I was like, that's it. I'm not gonna do it.
Fuck it.
Okay. For this, I read this great article by John Branch called "The Awakening of Colin Kaepernick" in the New York Times. Washington Post article called "The Making of Colin Kaepernick," and then this Guardian article that's super recent. I wrote it down in my paper, so I'll shout it out.
Okay.
Okay, but so Colin was born in 1987 in Wisconsin. His father's African American and his mother's white, but he was placed for adoption as an infant by both of his parents. Okay. And he ended up getting adopted by Rick and Teresa Kaepernick, who were a white couple. They had 2 white children. His family then lived in Wisconsin until he was 4, at which point they moved to California when his adopted father became manager of the Hillmar Cheese Company.
Oh, he's from a cheese dynasty?
He got cheese money.
He got cheese money.
That's that cheddar, baby. Of being a part of this white family, Colin said that people basically like always brought up like, oh, is he adopted? Are you adopted? Even when he was little, when he was out with his family on family vacations or anything, people would always be like, can I help you? Like always just assumed he didn't belong with that family, and he always felt like an outcast.
That must feel so weird, or I don't know if you get used to it or something.
But sad. I mean, it's gotta feel sad.
Yeah.
He started playing youth football at age 8, and at age 9, he was quarterback of his youth team while also having a 4.0 GPA.
Oh, hell yeah.
In high school, he played football.
At age 9, though? Okay, one of those grades is coloring. One is handwriting. One is behavior.
He had to do a biography on, like, whatever. Somebody corny.
George Washington.
No, he did it on somebody who, on like a cheesemonger.
My hero is my dad because he makes the best cheese.
Yeah. In high school, he played football, basketball, and baseball, and was nominated for all-state selection in all 3 sports.
Damn.
Yes, I did not think. I mean, I thought when I read this, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds impressive." And then I told Howell, and he was like, "Damn, that's crazy." But what state though? And I was like, "California." And he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. He
received scholarship offers in baseball, but he had his heart set on football. And for football, he was only offered a single scholarship in the University of Nevada, so he signed with them in February 2006. He maintained that 4.0 in high school.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, he's really smart. In college, his career was super impressive with plenty of touchdowns, interceptions, passing yards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
He was still playing baseball while in college and was actually drafted by the Cubs in 2009.
Very cool.
Yeah, but he decided to keep playing football at school. He didn't want to sign with them. He, like I said, his heart was in football always.
The shitty thing about baseball is that you'll get drafted and then, okay, you're going to play like AAA ball or something, and then you might not even make it to the majors.
Yeah.
And then if you make it to the majors, you might not even play. Like, it's so complicated. I could see why he would choose football.
Right. He finished his collegiate career in football while maintaining a 4.0 in college and graduated in 2011 with a degree in business management.
Okay.
He was then...
That's a very, very smart degree for an aspiring professional athlete, I think.
Yeah, that's just a smart degree, I think, too. Like, it just, you can do a lot with that.
Yeah.
You don't want to limit yourself with your degree. Like, you know, you don't want to get a law degree and then be stuck in law. I'm just saying. He was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers on April 29th, 2011. And he spent the 2011 season as backup to quarterback Alex Smith and really didn't play much at all that first year. He scored his first career touchdown in 2012 with a 7-yard run against the New York Jets. The same season, he replaced Smith in the second half of a game against the Rams when Alex suffered a concussion. He completed a rushing touchdown to tie the score of the game, and he started the next game against the Bears and got 2 touchdowns for a win against the highly ranked Bears defense.
Hey.
Smith was then cleared to play for the next game, but the coach chose not to rush him back and played Kaepernick instead. Because at this point,
he's like, take your time.
He's like, wait,
we're good.
What do I got here?
Yeah.
So coach ended up using Colin for starter for the rest of the season.
Sorry, Alex.
Sorry, Alex. This caused inevitable tension between Colin and Alex. It's not personal, but damn.
Right. I bet Alex is a racist now.
Oh, yeah. Alex is an all-eyes motherfucker out there somewhere. Unfortunately for this dude, Alex, Colin was a beast and set an NFL single-game record for the most rushing yards by a quarterback with 181 in the next postseason start against the Packers.
Jesus.
So Alex was never coming back.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Alex.
RP.
Wherever you are.
Have a nice life.
Some say Alex still has a concussion.
The team made it to the Super Bowl that year in New Orleans against the Ravens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the Super Bowl is played in it's decided where it's going to be played before the teams are.
Oh, okay, my bad. Because New Orleans is the Saints.
Yeah.
I know that because I've been to New Orleans. They ended up losing by 3 points, but Kaepernick was still performing like a beast. People loved his approachability also off the field. He said that people started writing to him about his tattoos because he had a lot of Bible. He has Bible verses tattooed on him, and that kids would write him letters about being biracial and about being adopted.
Oh.
Yeah, and he said he loved that aspect of it. He loved being able to have a positive influence on people who were like him.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yep.
Why doesn't he have any cheese tattoos, though? And that's Swiss.
I hate when chefs do that.
A Munster.
I don't like how that
knife?
LA chef thing where they are all tatted up like they were in a fucking biker gang in jail and shit.
Yeah.
That's
a pig.
so weird to me. Yes.
I like it. I would get all those chef's tattoos, so people would ask me, "Are you a chef?" Nah.
That's different, though. Right? The 2013 season popped off, and he kept doing his football thing with additional yards, touchdowns, and records. In 2014, he signed a 6-year contract extension with the 49ers worth up to $126 million.
You made it. You could buy a lot of cheese with that.
With $54 million in guarantees.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's that business degree right there.
Yup.
They failed to make the playoffs that year. And in 2015, he started the season with new coach Jim Tomsula, who threw Colin out for backup Blaine Gabbert in week 9.
Okay.
Colin ended up injuring his left shoulder and needed surgery, so he ended up being out for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Amidst his growing fame, his birth mother emerged, saying that she wanted to start a relationship with him.
She wanted to start a relationship with that 54 million guaranteed money.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's fucked up. This caused like a lot of media attention. This is really shitty to me. Collins had no interest whatsoever, and he expressed it. He expressed having no interest in meeting her, and then he was criticized for that.
Wow.
As if
that's nobody's fucking business.
Exactly, mate. Like as if anybody has any business telling him how he should feel in that situation or what he should do.
The most personal thing. I almost can't think of a more personal thing to you.
That's so crazy to me. Colin then took a step back from participating in interviews, and he was like basically it turned him off like to the media, because he's like, you're disgusting, you know?
Yeah.
And basically his public availability, so to speak, like he just kind of like became more private, lost trust with media and reporters. His Twitter shifted from football related messages to stuff about like Malcolm X, Tupac, and supporting various charities. He supports a lot of children with heart disease charities, because actually his adoptive mother and father, they lost 2 children to heart diseases really early, and that's why they chose to adopt their last child.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he supports those charities a lot. He then signed up to take a summer course on Black representation and popular culture at UC Berkeley.
Oh, so that's why he got woke?
Well, so he met the professor Amir Loggins through his girlfriend at the time, Nessa Diab, who was an MTV host. She was not like a VJ, so to speak, but like if anybody watched like Teen Mom or like, I want to say even Jersey Shore, she would host like the reunions.
Oh, what is her name? Let me look up what she looks like.
Nessa, last name Diab, Diab. You definitely know who she is.
Okay.
So Nessa influenced Colin a lot. She has always been a vocal Black Lives Matter supporter, and she's the UC Berkeley alumni. And I think her degree is in like Black history or something like that. So she hooked Colin up with Professor Loggins. Like she was like, I think you should take one of her classes.
Oh.
Professor Loggins says that, kind of like what you were saying, like a lot of people kind of like blame her for like politicizing him, like making him woke. And she's like, no, like that he was already that way. It was a decision that he had made long before he signed up for her class. He was very focused and eager to learn and just like overall curious.
That's so impressive to me, because a lot of people get an interest in something and kind of stop short of doing the work.
Right, because it's not taking a class is studying and like
right. So I really respect him for doing this. This is great.
Me too. We could all do that and be better people. He started the 2016 football season badly because I think he had injured his shoulder, I said, and then he ended up also needing operations on his thumb and knee, which like all these back-to-back operations caused him to lose weight and muscle.
Yeah.
So the 49ers ended up continuing with Gabbert as the start for the season. I'm probably not pronouncing that guy's name right also, and we didn't see Colin start until week 6 of this season. But back up a bit, because on week 3, Colin was noticed by some reporters sitting down during the playing of the Star Spangled Banner before the game was set to start.
What year is this?
2016.
Okay.
And then people started looking back, and this had actually been the 3rd day in a row that he had done so, but nobody had noticed until then. He was asked about it by the press, and he explained as follows. He said, quote, "I'm not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses Black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder." End quote. This was a direct reference to the murders of Black individuals by the hand of police enforcement, which had led to the creating of the Black Lives Matter movement. Specifically, in July 2016, we saw back-to-back murders of Alton Sterling and the next day, Philando Castile at the hands of police officers. In the 4th preseason game, Colin kneeled during the anthem to show more respect to former and current military members while still maintaining his protest, after discussing it with veteran and former NFL player Nate Boyer.
Shout out to Nate.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Yeah, that's a very I think, astute observation to make. Like, okay, some people might find this offensive or something. Like, if you want to get your message across, switch it to this so that people will have nothing to say. Little did we know.
Right, seriously. And then shout out to Colin for like
Yeah.
listening and learning,
Yeah.
just being an all good person. After the September 2016 police shootings of Terrence Crutcher and Keith Lamont Scott, Kaepernick commented publicly on the shootings, saying, quote, "This is a perfect example of what this is about," like his kneeling. Photos then surfaced of him wearing socks depicting police officers as pigs, and he finished the season kneeling during the anthem prior to every 49ers game. The 49ers then swiftly renegotiated his contract to a 2-year deal. He did okay in the season, but not as well as his prior seasons, and he was ultimately told that the 49ers were going to release him.
Okay.
He opted out of his contract on March 3rd, 2017, and was a free agent at the start of the 2017 league year. Around this time, Colin started being vocal about what he considered being blackballed because of his political statements, as opposed to his actual performances.
Right.
He pledged to donate $1 million to organizations working in oppressed communities, and other players and pro athletes conducted silent protests during the anthem in solidarity with Colin. Specifically, his friend Eric Reed joined him, who was also a 49er at the time. Jeremy Lane of the Seahawks was seen kneeling at an anthem shortly after, and Megan Rapinoe did so before a professional soccer game a few days after Colin first did. The NFL saw an 8% decline in viewership, directly associated to the player protests and harsh backlash from the public.
Oh, from the other side, from people who are like, I don't want to see these athletes kneeling. I'm not going to watch these games. Or was it like, no, they're right. Let's shut this shit off.
No. It was from the first group of people you described.
Okay.
So the response to Colin kneeling basically became and has remained, you're either with him or you're against him.
Yeah.
Donald Trump said, quote, "Maybe he should find a country that works better for him," at a rally.
Fuck you.
Time magazine put Colin on the cover kneeling next to the words, "The Perilous Fight." Media ran the story that this was anti-military and a slap to the face to those who had served and died for this country. And then in sharp contrast, some active military members and veterans came to his defense, saying, no, this is exactly the type of freedoms that we fight for and why we serve.
I honestly don't know if I'm being dense about this. I don't see the connection at all to the military. What does it have to do with the military?
They just kind of changed the narrative, mate. I don't know either. Like you missed the crux of the entire issue. They turned it into something else.
Like, when was the anthem ever about the military? Ever? It's like about the country.
Yeah, and like
so fucking
freedom.
weird.
I guess like freedom and like the idea that like they are the ones that fight for that freedom, but it's a stretch.
Yeah.
People threw it in Colin's face that not only was he a millionaire, but he was raised by a white family. So they said like he had no right to take a stance on black oppression, which what?
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever the stance was, it kind of became oddly about patriotism, which is I'm saying with you, like, it's kind of anytime we see anybody make a demonstration utilizing the American flag, it becomes about patriotism and the military and all that stuff. And it kind of like gets overshadowed by then whatever it is that person was actually trying to make a statement about.
And then people are always like, you're disrespecting the flag.
Yeah,
the
fucking flag
is a piece
thumpers.
of cloth.
I saw a good
Who the
tweet like
fuck?
during like in the early on of the George Floyd protests, I think they were like burning flags or something, and somebody was like they could go buy one at $7.99 at Walmart or something like
made in China.
Flags are thrown on everything: coffee mugs, bikinis,
Underwear.
hats, flashlights.
I have no I was gonna say I have no allegiance to the flag, but then they drill that into every single day when you're a kid. The
You
first
have
thing
to.
you do at school is you pledge allegiance to the flag. It's
Yeah.
like this bullshit propaganda. No, you need to. It's like they're losing sight of what the flag is supposed to stand for. What it's
Yes.
supposed to stand for.
Yes, it has become this totally other thing. I agree. That's a whole I don't know.
Yeah.
Flag thumper motherfucker.
I saw someone on Twitter say like, honestly, when I see the flag, like, I get a sense of, like, dread, like, it feels like an aggressive statement to me, and when they said that, that's something I had never tapped into, but I do feel that way.
I feel that way too. And I think it's really sad. Like, I see somebody wearing flag stuff, I immediately think that person's racist.
Yeah.
Or like
Or something. Or,
something.
like,
Yeah.
maybe not, like, not necessarily racist, but, like, I'm, like, my guard goes up.
Uh-huh.
Like, you see, like, one of those big trucks with, like, a flag on the back, I'm like, oh,
Ooh, yeah, me too. Yeah, it's scary.
that's sad.
It is sad. It's very sad. One thing people did highly criticize Colin about, where I hate to say it, but he did not vote in 2016.
I know.
And
This bothers me.
yeah, why? Like, why? Because then I think you actually have no right to say anything because
Mhm.
you didn't even do the one thing that you could fucking do.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's a protest in and of itself. We could argue the merits of that. I mean, we are arguing, like, I think that's a stupid protest.
It's a very
like,
stupid. You only hurt yourself and the very people that you want to
Yeah.
protect and help
Yeah.
by
But
failing to vote.
But I've heard that argument made before. Like, why would I vote for someone who, like, both sides are terrible? Why would I vote for someone that's going to
Yeah.
continue? I mean, I get it, but there are so much more at stake. And, like, you're being obtuse, I think, by
Yeah.
making that.
So you're basically just going to lay down and let them win then.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't like that. Yeah. So he didn't vote. That was a whole ass thing. And I kind of see where that criticism came from. Whatever the take was, he had certainly disrupted the NFL and really like the US at that time.
Mhm.
You couldn't get away from the story of this silent protest. Colin was refusing at that time to conduct interviews and tried to not appear publicly as well, although he had already really shied away from public life and he wasn't somebody that we saw out
Mhm.
like partying or anything, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were speculating whether or not the protest was going to cost him his career.
Mm.
He was courted around the time by the Seahawks and the Ravens, but ultimately was frozen out by the entire league in what most considered a direct response for his political opinions. And let's face it, it was.
Yeah. Because remember, this is the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the people who accept, I mean, honestly, the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm. I know nothing about football, and I'm always talking about football. Like on this podcast, like how many stories have I done? Because like they're
Yeah.
so fucking problematic.
Yep.
It really makes no sense that someone with a performance history like Colin was now unable to get any offers. He was an above average quarterback. The Seahawks later set up another visit in April 2018, but postponed signing Colin as he would not confirm whether or not he would continue his national anthem protest.
I mean, there you go.
Yes.
If that's the thing that's holding you back, then, oh my God.
One of the owners of the league was then anonymously quoted as saying, quote, "Nobody wants to deal with that," referencing the protest and the media attention. Colin then filed a grievance against the NFL, accusing all the owners, 32 in total, none of which are African-American, by the way, 7 of which donated more than $1 million to Trump's campaign, of collusion to keep him out of the league.
I mean, that sounds about right.
On February,
I got eyes, I got ears. That seems like what's happening.
On February 15, 2019, he reached a confidential settlement with the NFL and withdrew the claim. Cha-ching!
Are there any estimates?
No, I wish. I looked.
Yeah.
No. Eric Reed also settled with the league around the same time because he also like co-signed the the lawsuit. But he was later signed to the Carolina Panthers. Colin and his partner Nessa then founded the Know Your Rights Camp, which teaches disadvantaged youth about self-empowerment, American history, and legal rights. It still functions to this day, and they made massive donations to public affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's another thing I like about him. He like opens his purse.
He sure does. Amidst all of the drama and like he's a free agent. People are kind of courting him, but he's not really getting signed. Now we're in like 2019, right? He's still training and working out 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of really sad, but Colin loves football.
Yeah.
And that's shitty because football clearly doesn't love him, but
right.
It's just, he continues to state that publicly that he wants to be on a team. He wants to play.
And you know what? Whenever I see footage of him, he's arguably in better shape now than he was towards the end of his last time we saw him on the field. Because
He had
remember,
had those surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah. The NFL set up a private workout for Colin in Atlanta on November 12, 2019, with all 32 teams invited to attend. This was extremely rare move for the NFL, as they never set up workouts for all the teams, and they never ever get in the way of team schedules because,
Yeah.
you know, teams don't want to work out on Saturday. They got a fucking game on Sunday. But they did this specifically for Colin. 30 minutes before the scheduled start time, Colin backed out because he wanted the workout to be public and he didn't want to sign a liability waiver that they were forcing on him. So he moved and set up at an Atlanta high school and held a public throwing session instead.
Okay.
But it didn't work out. Nobody made any offers.
Right. But I get why it's so important for it to be public, because they could easily be like, oh, he fucking sucks.
Yeah.
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 It has to be public.
Yeah. Back in 2018, he started a highly publicized Nike ad with the slogan, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything," which led to some form of odd protests held by small-minded Americans who decided to burn their shoes in response to the ad, their shoes that they had already paid for.
Those are the same people burning Dixie Chicks records. Good luck with that, guys.
In June 2020, Pete Carroll of the Seahawks expressed regret for not signing Colin back in 2017. And at this point, Colin has been unemployed since 2017. At first because of his politics, and now people question more whether or not he's still in good enough shape, plus his politics.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's somebody who hasn't played professionally for over 4 years now.
Okay, but there are how many teams? 32? 32 teams in the NFL. Most of them have a quarterback and a backup quarterback.
Right.
You're telling me that there are 64 quarterbacks that are better than Colin Kaepernick, one of the most elite quarterbacks, just a short time ago?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
No.
He continues to support really grassroots type organizations, him and Nessa. I really like his partner also because she seems to influence him in a really great way.
Yeah.
So he donates a lot of money to like grassroots type organizations who really need that money to put in the work. Companies like the I Will Not Die Young campaign in Milwaukee say that having someone like him make like really giant donations and reach out is literally a lifeline to keep putting in the work which they struggle to do every day. Cut to present day, and we have one of the biggest protests against police violence against Black Americans, amongst other things, happening not only across America, but even in different parts of the world at this point.
That's crazy.
It's so crazy. Now Colin's protest from almost 5 years ago seems especially relevant. Just after the early protests began, about 12 of NFL's biggest stars posted a video online demanding the NFL to admit to wrongdoing in silencing players from peaceful protesting. I don't know these people, but Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, Michael Thomas, that level of guys. Drew Brees, who initially said something awful like, "I'll never be on the side of anyone disrespecting the flag," backed up his statement and wrote this really long piece about learning to be a better person and learning to listen to what the problems was. And he basically said, like, I realized that I was wrong and all that shit. And that's great, but I think this man is like in his mid-40s and he's been in the NFL his whole ass life. And the NFL, as problematic as it is actually, like, in terms of players, very diverse.
I don't know. They're like 70% Black.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You've been playing with 70% Black teammates and you barely learning.
Yeah.
That's really embarrassing, Mr. Breeze.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself.
I will say that the one season I played fantasy football, I like just set up the teams and completely forgot about it. Drew Brees was my quarterback. I ended up in second place.
Oh, that's crazy.
I didn't do a damn thing.
That's crazy. The Friday after the protests began, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell released the following statement, quote, "We, the NFL, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest, period. We, the NFL, believe Black Lives Matter, period."
Do you though?
No, man. This is
because we got a lot of things to unpack. I mean, you're like 70-something% Black league, and let's talk about. If you worried about Black lives, let's talk about concussions. There's so many things that are an issue here.
No, just so we're all on the same page. None of us believe that bullshit blanket statement. It literally sounds like a robot, like somebody's holding a gun to his head. We, the NFL.
Yeah.
This article in The Guardian, by Brian Graham, that is the one I used about like the present day NFL shit, said something like, we're probably going to see players come in the next season and take a knee during the anthem. And they're not going to focus on it anymore like before. It's just going to kind of become this like patriotic thing to do when the anthem plays. And that's the media switching the narrative, just like they did with Colin back when he did it. Like now it's like they see these protests and they were like, you know, briefly getting violent. That's another thing. I don't think it was the protesters who were
yeah, for sure,
committing that violence, but I think a lot of Americans got scared. And so instead of like really changing how they feel, I think they just want to now appease the public. So I think even if we see a shift in the NFL where they will be more accepting in players making those kinds of protests, let's not pretend it is what they're saying it is.
Yeah, like it's not them moving on the issue. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, like they're just going to turn a blind eye and still be shitty behind closed doors to appease people. And I think that's awful.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of like side-by-side photos after George Floyd was murdered of him on the ground with that monster hovering over him next to Colin taking the knee during the anthem. Famously, LeBron put it up on his Instagram and said, "Do you understand now?"
Oh, God. I love LeBron James.
And that's basically where we're at with Colin. The NFL has made these blanket statements, yet every day and every season that he goes without a job is a direct jab at the very movement that they're allegedly now supporting. People compare. Go ahead.
Imagine like if some team was like, sure. I mean, I understand that there's this issue where he could be a quote unquote distraction because like all eyes are going to be on him and what he's doing and what it's like. Fine, but to give this person a platform to speak, I think would do so much and would mean so much that there's all these fucking cowards, 32 fucking cowards that nobody wants to do it. Fuck you.
Yeah. People compare Colin to Muhammad Ali a lot because Muhammad saw a lot of backlash for refusing to go to Vietnam. So hopefully we'll see things turn around for him. Maybe not as a player specifically, but as somebody way more important.
Yeah.
I mean, he's forever going to be known for this silent gesture. And people are going to continue to wear his jersey. But now I think it's more a political statement than sports merchandise. And I think that's great for him. Like he really did something with his platform, which is more than most of us.
Most of us, yeah. And he'll go down in history as having one of the best afros I've ever seen. This image, you look fucking amazing. Put that in the history books.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have satin pillowcases?
Yes. Does Colin Kaepernick have a satin pillowcase?
Of course he does.
I need to know. You know, I was just thinking I want to do an episode one day, or maybe you should do it because it's a running thing. But the guys who put up the fist at the Olympics.
Oh, I like that one.
I think that would be like a really great story to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that one. And that's such a powerful photo.
Yeah. I saw that it might be Berkeley or University of San Jose. I think it's San Jose. They have a statue of them. And like, because there's a really great story about the third dude, a white guy. I think he's from like Australia or New Zealand or something.
Yes. And
he like supported them.
Yes.
Anyway, they have a statue of like of that image of the two guys putting up the fist, and the third guy, the white guy, was like, "Oh, don't put me up there," so people can stand on the statue.
Aww.
And stand in solidarity with the.
Oh man, that's so sweet.
Amazing.
I'm gonna cry. That's so cute. Oh man. Well, that was the Drama Club.
Very dramatic this week.
Yes. Hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at Drama Club Pod and on the website dramaclubpod.com.
On the hotline, 505-539-0556 at our P.O. Box. P.O. Box number 27433 LACA 90027. Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll talk to you on Thursday with a brand new Afternoon Delight episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice life.
However, whatever with your helmet.